Yeah, this is one of my favorite songs, and I'm gonna play for you, cause it's your day, Joseph, and it's gonna be an amazing day. You ready for this? Let's go. Party people say, hey, it's your day, it's your day. The world is getting ready, everybody ready, yeah, for your day, for your day. Celebrate and say, hey, 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 hey. Yeah, sending this. Just be amazing.
Hey, listen up, y'all. I'm gonna shout out this young gun right here because he's trying to do his thing. Joseph Jaffe, not famous. Probably rightfully so. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm famous because, he not famous. And he like, yo, let me call my famous friends and see if they'll shout me out and make me more famous, sir. Right? But so, Joseph Jaffe, man, it's cool. You got your late night talk show popping off. That's what's dope. Streaming, been doing your thing, man. Started this in March of the 2020, which is, tough throughout the years, but booking great guests, man. Jamal Mashboard, James Rollins, steady building it, man. Keep it popping off, man. Keep building your brand, man. Believe in yourself. Keep going hard, all right? That's what it's all about. One of these days, this little acronym of yours, not famous, is not going to be true. People going to see you in the mall and be like, I know who you is. Them going to be your cousins saying it all incorrect like that. But you know what I'm saying? You know what you going to do. What you going to do? They family. All right, bro. I'll holler.
A spring in your step. There is a twinkle in your eye.
I can throw a rhyme down for you real quick. Yes, they call me Thrill. They say that I'm the man. You disagree, how could you? Let me make you understand.
Should we bring her on the show? Can anybody find me? And there she is.
Fresh as some bread, pulled right from the oven. When you feel rejected, you get some of my loving.
Take on me.
She looks wonderful. Mom looks amazing.
Somebody too. Okay, Mo, bugger off now. I've got to show it to you.
Like that?
Joseph Jaffe, ladies and gentlemen.
You just made the new intro of the show. I got to tell you, just seeing my mom on that little intro video, for those of you that have been watching the show since March of 2020, my mom unfortunately lost a 7-year battle with cancer at the beginning of January of 2023. So it's been really hard for me to hear her voice, to watch any video, to even look at photos. And just seeing that now, it brings back so many memories. And at the end of the day, what is life if not this collection of meaningful moments and memories? And speaking of things that start with M, meaningful moments of memories with Maya Watson is my guest today. I first came across, by the way, this might be one of the best bio photographs in the entire world. But Maya was running marketing, another M, for Clubhouse back in the day. And that's where I first came across her. And I will read her bio, just off by heart, because I've memorized it, because I have a photographic memory. And you will just see some of her accomplishments. But no doubt, something that I have said many times, are your best days in front of you or behind you? I'm sure she would agree, she better agree, that her best days are in front of her, as are mine, and as are yours. Our best days are ahead of us. So it's 2024. I start off with my why statement. As a teacher, facilitator, and coach, I help high aspiring entrepreneurs, owners, and their leadership teams get unstuck, return to growth, and become forever changed. What do I mean by that? Well, I started the show March 2020, as Cedric said, and, I started the show to help people that were stuck at home or stuck in general. Hence the idea of unstuck, because when you're stuck, you got to get unstuck. And so if you want to get unstuck, all you got to do is subscribe to the show, bit.ly/subscribe to the show. What do I mean by return to growth? Well, if we're not growing, we are stagnating. And if we are stagnating, we are dying. We are falling back. We are decaying. So this idea of growth, what does it mean? It's not just market share and top line and bottom line and profit. It's sometimes growing up. It's sometimes growing out. It's prioritizing. It's being able to actually look at your life and take stock and say, am I living my purpose? Am I living my why? Am I leaving behind a legacy? Am I becoming forever changed? Which is, of course, the name of my most recent book, How a Global Pandemic Changed My Direction, My Purpose, and My Life. Now, every morning, Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm hanging out. You know, they told me, Maya told me I have a face for radio. I'm just joking. She never told that to me. But because I have a face for radio, sometimes I need to be audio first and audio only. And I really love this idea when people are on the treadmill, getting the kids ready for school, walking the dog, commuting to the big bad city, the proverbial, face mask on. You don't want to be seen sometimes, but you do want to be heard and you do want to hear. And so Monday through Friday, I am sharing whatever I can, doing live book reads, etc., in the Collective Cafe. Just did a great session a couple of weeks ago on psychological safety, something in the workplace. I'm sure Maya can talk to that as well. This idea of how do you create an environment that is high on accountability, but also high on safety in terms of allowing people to be seen, heard, and not shamed and not humiliated and not pushed down, etc., etc. Another session, one of my favorites, was on poor little Elmo, who just happened to tweet saying, "Hey, everyone, just checking in. Everyone okay?" And the response was, "No, Elmo, we're not okay. We're not even remotely okay." So unfortunately, the messenger in this case got shot. And that is this poor little 3-year-old lovable red puppet. But he handled himself very well. We're also doing those live book reads, Crucial Conversations and 4 Obsessions of an Extraordinary Executive. And if you want to join us, we'd love to have you. And if you don't want to join us, you can listen to the pod, bit.ly/collective cafe to go. But now I don't want you to go anywhere. In fact, I want you to stay. I want you to sit. I want you to listen to the seated soliloquy, which, as always, is connected to my guest. And it's called Till Work Do Us Part. Maya said something, and we're going to talk about it, this idea of work as a relationship. And I suddenly, like my mind just started spinning when I thought, I've never thought about work or a job or a career as a relationship. And when we think about that as a relationship, are we monogamous? Do we have one partner for life? Or do we play the field? Do we cheat on our partner? It's never a good idea in IRL. But what about this idea of loyalty? What about this idea of being able to be a lifer? I remember writing in one of my books this idea of gone are the days of being a lifer. Gone are the days of retiring at 60 or 65 and getting your gold Rolex, or these days maybe a gold Apple Watch Ultra. Maybe I would stay for that. But other than that, I'm not interested. Companies are not loyal to their people. In fact, the proverbial pink slip HR have become goons. They've become the people that you want to avoid, when once upon a time they were the people that had your back. They were the people you would turn to when you had a problem, when you had a challenge. They would take care of you. They would look after you. And that just isn't the case anymore. What is work anymore? What is a career? What is happening when you have these CEO types demanding that we come back to work, that we commute 2, 3, 4, 5 hours a day to live in our cube farms? It doesn't make sense. But more importantly, are we getting what we need? Are we becoming fulfilled? Are we, in fact, using our time in our work, in our jobs, in our career to leave behind a legacy, to be fulfilled, to not have to take our work stresses home with us and take it out on our spouse, on our children, on our loved ones, and vice versa, not taking whatever happens in the home and taking it out on our co-workers. We need more thinkers. We need more leaders. We need more thinking in general. We need more innovation when it comes to making that ultimate commitment till work do us part. When we commit to a job, whether it is 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, being able to give 110% of ourselves for that moment in time, for that memory in time, to be a meaningful moment and a memory. And speaking of things with M, it is time to bring on Maya. Maya is the co-founder and CEO of Manual, a company designed to help you discover, define, and express the best work of your life. Over the last 18 years, Maya has spent her career advising and working alongside some of the great leaders of our time, including Oprah Winfrey, the Obamas, and Reed Hastings. Yes, you heard that correctly. As an executive for multi-billion-dollar global brands like Netflix and Clubhouse, she's led high-performing teams with a human-centered approach that produced industry-shifting and award-winning work. As a result, she is a talent magnet and has a track record of less than 1% of voluntary attrition on her teams and is known as one of the top people leaders in business. Maya has a BS in marketing from Indiana University, a Master's of Science from Northwestern University. She's the mother of a tenacious and vivacious 18-year-old and resides in Atlanta, Georgia, with her 2 dogs, Claire Huxtable and Tina Turner. And I'm not going to lie, when I read her bio the first time, Maya, I thought maybe you've worked with Claire Huxtable and Tina Turner because you've worked with about Oprah and Reed Hastings. Welcome to the show.
Oh my God, I wish. I love Claire Huxtable. I love Tina Turner. May she rest in peace. Thanks for having me. So good to see you and hear you. I'm so used to hearing you in Clubhouse back in the day.
Yeah,
that,
I can be Clubhouse. I can be
I know,
like
see the icons that are like blinking.
I still love the fact that I still want to see, even if it's just a still image, I still want to be able to get a sense of whom I'm hearing, even though they say today, like, you know, this crossover effect that's happening, right? Can you hear colors? Can you see sounds? And I'm not talking about psychedelics. I'm just talking about this idea of really being able to, can we think with our heart and can we feel with our brain? So anyway, I love the ability to still see something, but yeah. This is the moving version of me.
The moving version. It was good to see you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to chat and talk about all the things.
There is a lot to talk about, but first of all, in my soliloquy, in my seated soliloquy, I spoke. I mean, I know we're going to talk about it in earnest, but this idea of do businesses recognize that there's no such thing as a lifer anymore, or could there be, or should there be something as a lifer? Do they recognize the transience of talent, if you will?
That's a good question around if businesses believe that or not. I think the truth is it's not really realistic anymore, but we still exist in a construct that thinks that way. So like one of my favorite thought leaders today, authors, his name is Bruce Feiler. I'm such a big fan of his. We actually met on Clubhouse. And he has two books that whenever we're talking about work, these are the 2 books that I always try to recommend people read to like really locate yourself, because part of what we have to do today is we're like in this like chaotic, messy place. And if you're not, I was like, look at this.
I told you there'd be surprises. I told you there would be surprises.
Wow. Okay. So two big ideas that are important to understand, which is in his book, Life is in the Transitions, he talks about the linear life versus the nonlinear life, which is our parents and grandparents lived a very linear life, right? Life was a lot more predictable. So for instance, like you grew up in the neighborhood, you probably grew up in the same place, right? Like your childhood home, you maybe went to college or you went to trade school, got married, had children, and so on and so forth. You didn't move around a lot. And when it comes to work, you went to work and you worked with people in your community, and you would be there. The contract was, you work for us for 20, 25, 30 years. You're able to predict how much money you're going to make over your lifetime. So you can like really build a life. And then when you're done, we're going to take care of you. We're going to pay you 70 to 80% of what you were making for the rest of your life. That's like a really good deal. There wasn't a ton of disruption at that time. You didn't have technology or information to even know what was happening, in the state around you or in the world. Like you were just kind of in this insular place, and that was a good deal at the time. And so he talks about the nonlinear life, which is what we're experiencing, which is just a lot more chaos. So we're moving more often. There's a lot more life events that happen to us. People are making conscious choices around, do I want to get married? Maybe I'll get married later in life. Some people are making the choice not to have kids, or women starting to have kids in their 40s. Like there are so many things that are nonlinear, but we still compare our lives to the linear life. So this is why you hear people say like, oh, I move around jobs like every 2 years and I feel bad about that. It's like, why do you feel bad about that? Why do you feel bad about moving around and discovering new places and trying things on? The reason you feel bad about that is because you're still comparing your life to a linear life, because you think I should be staying somewhere. I should be dwelling somewhere long term. That's just not how we move anymore. So we're in this, like, that's what I always say. We're in the middle of like chaos, because we are essentially transitioning from an old design and construct of a workplace to a new one. And in the middle of that, we have to like recalibrate. We have to come up with new expectations. We have to really understand historically what we exist in order to deal with it and navigate it.
And I would say, actually, it strikes me, and I remember when I came to the US in 1997, I worked at Ogilvy in Mather.
Okay.
And I remember going through the AETP, the Account Executive Training Program.
Okay.
It was incredible. It was like an MBA. It
Wow.
was the investment in us, the courses, the classes, the outings, the guest speakers. And now what's happened is companies they've given up. Someone said to me the other day on the show that the actual great resignation is not the employee resigning. It's actually the fact that the companies have given up. They've resigned themselves. They're not training anymore. They're not investing in people, because they know that these people will literally slip through their fingers like sand.
Well, I mean, it would make sense that in 1997, you would invest in training people that you expected to be there, right? It would make sense that it's like, it's in our best interest to spend time, increasing their, competencies and expanding their mindsets and pouring into them, because we want them to be better for us. And so when you look at like not learning development specifically, but leadership development is like a massive industry that you can't really measure the returns. And so where people are spending money, it's something that people are starting to cut. Like development and training are things that get cut, right? Because again, we're in a place where companies care more about their bottom line and how they exist relative to markets than the people. And so this is why we're so passionate, and I'm so passionate about trying to help people understand you have to take back control of your work life. You have to reclaim your time, because there was a story that I tell when I was at Netflix. Yes, you're too talented just to take another job. So there was a story I tell at Netflix where I was I was doing a really good job. I'm a great employee. I'm a great leader. I pour into my people. We were delivering great work. The company had said, hey, you're amazing. We want to get you to the next levels of leadership. I was hearing that from day one. And literally years had gone by, and you check in and you say, hey, what's going on? Is anything happening? And I would hear three things. One was, oh, it's just not a good time for the business. We're not doing promotions right now because, things are complicated. Or you would hear, oh, sit tight. We're working on a plan for you. We're putting together the details. We're talking to your manager and HR and all these people to figure out what's the right path. Or I would hear things like, we need to be seeing more from you. Actually, you're not delivering on this, that, and the other. And some of those things I would hear for the first time. So anyways, I was very frustrated. And I was in the cafeteria And one of my mentors, who was a VP of the company, saw me. He must have seen that I was like very upset. And I said, I am upset. I feel like I'm, getting the runaround and people are telling me all this stuff. And like, I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for my time. When is it going to be my time? And he said, can I tell you something? He literally laughed in my face. And I said, what, why are you laughing? Like, I'm really upset. And he says, Maya, nobody's coming to save you. They don't actually have time to think about your development. If they did, that would have happened by now. And so a lot of times the reasons that when you say you're going to leave a company, if you're a top performer, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, let's come up with a plan, right? But part of what they want is like, you're doing a great job. They're getting everything they want from you without having to do anything for you. Why would they do more? Just like really think about it. They have so much going on their plates in their lives, managing big teams. And I sat there like, one, that's a super hard truth to hear. But two, it's like, that actually makes sense. There's just not enough capacity for people to pour into the teams like we used to. Because again, to your point, we're not going to be here for 20 years. So in terms of order of priority and what matters the most, making sure that you grow is not at the top of the list. So, and to be honest, it's really on me to decide and to understand myself and understand what I do best and, the work that I want to do and to be able to articulate and advocate for that. And so it made me start to think about where did I get this expectation from that somebody was going to do it for me? What is it, because they've been telling me this whole time? Or is it because that's what I heard, what happened? My parents were in corporate America and were in really incredible training programs back in the day. Like, where did that come from? But part of what needed to happen was for me to like take that expectation, put it down, and pick a new one to say, you need to take control of your work experience. And so that's what I did. Oh, no.
So Maya, I'm thinking, I'm thinking that line in space, no one can hear you scream. But that's what I was thinking in relation to no one's coming to save you.
Yeah.
I want to address what I would actually call, the elephant in the room, which is this idea of the not now, come back later, the kicking the can down the road. It would seem that this is even more of a problem and a challenge. And a real concern amongst, let's just say, non-pale male and stale, right? and in other words, easy for me to say as an old white guy, but it would definitely, no doubt, be a much bigger issue. And I guess the question is that still such a big issue amongst women, amongst talent of color, etc.
Yeah, I can't speak to every group, but I know that if you are not what I call human neutral, which is straight white man.
Human neutral. Okay, that's a new one for me. I'm human neutral. I'm pale male, stale, and neutral.
Human neutral, which is like, it is not great. So I just wrote about this. I have a Substack called Best Work of Your Life where I talk about this and go into details. When you think about Black women are paid 69 cents on the dollar to every man. We are not promoted. There are a lot of things when it comes to hiring that are disadvantages towards us. And a lot of people don't know how to manage Black women. So there's a lot of projection and assumptions and stereotypes and discrimination, microaggressions that happen. We experience them at an exponential level. And so this is why I just saw there's a post about this on LinkedIn, which we're streaming on LinkedIn right now too, which is so cool. Saw a post that Black women are the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs. The reason is not because we want to be always doing our own thing. It's because we have to find other ways to exist, because inside of organizations and corporations, we're not really welcome and embraced. And that's a really crappy feeling to have, to get up every day. I know I felt this often, is get up every day and feel like you have to put on a suit of armor in order to just get through the day. And for many of us, we're making the decision that we're not doing that anymore. we're also not trying to be everybody's savior anymore, because as much as we're not promoted, developed, or paid, we're asked to do things and come in and fix situations and save situations. And again, I'm not compensated for that. So a lot of Black women have high awareness about this and are choosing themselves and choosing our own well-being. And there's definitely barriers on the entrepreneur side, right? Like in terms of venture capital, I'm in the middle of building a tech business, and Black founders receive less than 0.13% of venture capital. So it has its own barriers, but at least we get to do it on our terms and kind of have more agency around how we move, how we spend our time, and the work that we get to do and who we surround ourselves with. So it 100%, it's broken in so many ways. And, we do this program called Best Work of Your Life Study Group, which we're doing another one on Monday, starting Monday, where we really take people through the history of work. Because if you don't understand the history of what the workplace, how it was actually designed, the modern workplace was very much designed during the Industrial Revolution to maximize productivity. And so when you think about maximizing productivity and, finding efficiencies when it comes to people, we were very much seen as machines. And so it's not efficient for people to get to know you. It's not efficient for people to really develop you. It's not efficient to make you feel seen, supported, and understood. It's all about how do we maximize productivity for the sake of maximizing profits. That's what it's designed to do. And, you can get to make a choice whether or not you want to exist in that. And there are ways to exist in it where, you are exercising more agency over your life, but you first have to understand what it is and have a proper expectation of what the system is. Oh, wait, you're on mute.
It happens from time to time. and you know what? So we were talking in the green room where, and Maya's, your writer said that you only wanted green M&Ms, which was, I thought, very, very,
It's very Hollywood.
Very hot, I mean, it's the Netflix
When
connection.
you exist in Hollywood, you have certain things you need,
Maybe it should have been red for Netflix. But so I've learned how to cheat. And so the way I cheat is, I'm a little under the weather. So every time people might say that it's amazing that he makes my full screen all the time and takes his ugly face off. But I'm coughing every time I do that.
Is that what you're doing? I'm like, what are you?
No. It's lots of camera angles. There's 17 producers in this room with me right now. Can't you see them? They're invisible.
I was like, this is like high production quality.
High production. This is this is that schmuck you see on the street corner with the cymbals and the harmonica, and every time they lift their leg, the drum beats as well. So the air horn is going.
Oh wow, we have sound effects too.
But what we also have is a little game that we play called Two Truths and a Lie. So, are you ready to play?
Yeah.
Don't you dare miss a pitch. Now, this, interestingly enough, is all AI, by the way.
The music is AI?
The music, the lyrics, the singing, all AI. So this really is a one-man band. Sorry, I should say this is a one human neutral band. So yeah, Bob Farnham is watching, and he said, Joseph Jaffe, the one-man band, the one-man blend, I should say. But anyway, Maya, we got our private investigators to go into the field to find out about your past, and we found two things that we believe are true, but we actually think that they came back and somebody told them a fib. And so the question is, how well can you lie to the masses? So these were the three items. Two of them are true. One of them is a lie. The first thing, apparently, is that you are a certified sailor. So tell us about your sailing exploits, if you will.
So my sailing exploits, when I was 16, my parents sent me and a friend to this sailing camp in the Caribbean I think it's called Sail Caribbean, where you lived on a sailboat for 10 days or 2 weeks and you learned how to sail sailboats. And by the end, you did a certification and I could sail my own big sailboat. Now I have not been on a sailboat since. So I probably have lost my certification, but yeah, I lived on a boat during the summer in high school.
Well, if you think you know which one, by the way, is the lie, you can go to bit.ly/2T1L_Maya Watson and vote. You might win $1 million, which could be a lie, by the way. So, truth/lie number 2. Apparently, and this is amazing. You were once offered a role in a Hollywood movie, but you turned it down to focus on your marketing career, to think this could have been you in Mission Impossible with a young Tom Cruise. This is Tom Cruise at 65, by the way. He never ages.
So when I was working in entertainment and had just got to Netflix, I worked on a lot of content, and we would have a lot of meetings with showrunners and producers and directors to talk about their content. And in one of those meetings, one of the directors asked me if I would actually be in one of the projects that we were working on. And it was shocking because I've never considered myself an actress, and I'm not an actress, which is why I politely declined and said, I think I'm going to stick to marketing.
And the marketing world is grateful that you did, because it's not that we don't need another actor, but we definitely need marketing leaders right now, because based on the Super Bowl this year, we are in dire need of creativity and disruption. I know.
Oh my God. Anyways, that's a whole other conversation.
And we can take the conversation in any direction. Now, the third item, which again, it could be true, it could not be true, because you know what? We're very lazy here in Not Famous Studios. Her name is Maya. Well, here is another Maya, the unbelievable Maya Angelou. Apparently predicted that your mom was pregnant with you. And this is not one that I even wanted to use some very, very bad Photoshop, but I found a great Maya Angelou quote that says, I couldn't tell fact from fiction, or if the dream was true. My only sure prediction in this world was you. I'd touch your features inchly, beard love and dared the cost. The scented spiel, is that spiel? Reeled me unreal, and I found my senses lost. So, this is a real quote, by the way. This is not a fake quote. I don't even know if she was talking about you, but tell us about this prediction.
So my mom is a big Maya Angelou fan, had read all of her material, and I have 3 older brothers. And after having the last son, my parents decided they were done having kids. And she was at a Maya Angelou book signing. And when she was getting her book signed by Dr. Maya Angelou said to her, "Are you pregnant with child?" And my mom was like, "Oh no, absolutely not. We've decided we're not having any more kids." And 2 weeks later, my mom found out she was pregnant with me.
And is that why you're called Maya, by the way?
That's why my name is Maya.
Which, of course, could be true or not true.
But you're not true. We'll see.
But I will tell you, this might be the first time we've ever played 2 truths and a lie, where the lie sounds real, the truth sounds not real. I'm confused. I don't know which one. I'm going to go and vote and try and win that $1 million online. Well, thank you for playing. And the reason why we had to do this is that I always try and find a quote for my guests. And this is the quote that I found for you, which surprisingly enough is actually, and maybe not surprisingly, is Maya Angelou.
I know this quote.
Success is liking yourself, liking what you do, and liking how you do it. And I thought, wow, let's talk about this quote in context of showing up for yourself, for others, showing up at work, and being able to come home proud of the work you did and the people that you work with.
Yeah. Oh, this quote is so poignant. Of course, she is amazing. May she rest in peace. So when I was I think everybody during the pandemic, we were in a global pandemic, but I also describe it as like I was also my own personal pandemic. I completely burned out from work. I was at Clubhouse at the time, and Clubhouse was a very demanding role for me. I had recently just gotten divorced and just moved across the country. It was changing my life. So, in one of those moments that I think many of us went through where you're just rethinking everything, like what's going on? Am I happy? Do I like the life that I've built? Is there more for me? Those existential questions. And somebody gave me a book called 4,000 Weeks, Time Management for Mortals, which is one of the books that really changed the trajectory of my life. And the author, Oliver Berkman, talks about how the average person lives 4,000 weeks. That when you put it in context of 4,000 weeks, which is approximately like 76 or 77 years, it doesn't feel like that much time. 4,000 weeks is like, wait, 4,000 weeks, like where am I on the scale? And so of course you do the math, which is take your age and multiply it by 52, and you get a sense of where you are on the spectrum of weeks. And again, nothing's promised. So you don't know, do I have that many weeks? Do I have less weeks? It woke me up, right? And I started to do math. Math is not my forte, but I was doing some basic math around, okay, if we have 4,000 weeks, that's approximately 650,000 hours. Of those 650,000 hours, you should be asleep for a third of them, right? So that then leaves you 428,000 or so waking hours. And when you start to look at like after you're 18 or 22 and you start to get into adult worlds, where are you spending your time? And for most of us, we're spending nearly 60, 70% of our time at work, so that's when we say, whatever you feel at work, whatever you experience at work is the experience you have in your life, because whatever is the dominant force is what it is. And so we often say to people, if you don't love your work, it's nearly impossible to love your life. And I think for all of us, we want to love our lives. We want to be in love with our lives. And so if you're in a situation where you feel stuck, stagnant, and you're suffering, if you feel like you're not seen every day, if you feel like you can't be yourself, if you feel like you're not doing work that energizes you or lifts you up, that's how your life feels. And it really impacts everything in our lives, right? I know when I was married, I can't think of how many nights I would come home and talk to my husband about work, right? Like what happened today at work, and this person, this, and I'm so frustrated that like it impacted how I parented. I'm making decisions around, I got to do this thing for work and not living a life, right? That makes sense to me. And so this is something that we try to help people understand is you have to really get clear around one, what work you are designed for, right? Like what is your unique design? What are your unique conditions for success? What do you need to thrive at work, to be in your creative process, to solve really interesting problems? What environments do you need for that? What are your unique experiences that you have? Your own unique experiences in your life is like a superpower intelligence that only you have. So I have a collection of experiences that you don't have. And so I should be pulling from those experiences as often as possible. And then we need work that's meaningful, that feeds our soul, that makes us feel like we're a part of something bigger. And so work is one of those things that you don't get to opt out of in this lifetime. I can choose not to get married. I can choose not to have children. I can choose like not to have friends or travel. Like we have to work in this lifetime. That's how it's set up, unfortunately or fortunately, whatever you decide. We're not in a society where everybody gets a universal basic income and we can do our thing. Maybe one day that will happen. I don't know. But until then, you do have to work. And the work you do is going to occupy 60 to 70% of your life. And if you don't do it, you can't, it's hard to love yourself. It's hard to love your life.
So I absolutely love that quote. If you don't love your work, it will be impossible. It's going to be impossible, to love your life. What do you say to people that or to this idea that says, if you love your work so much, it doesn't feel like work. It doesn't actually feel like, do you subscribe to that, or do you think that, or do you push back on that?
Yeah, I mean, I 100% subscribe to that because I've experienced it. I've been in places. I've had the fortune of and the privilege really because a lot of people haven't had it. And it's the privilege of knowing what it feels like to have work feel like an expression and
I
also
like
then
that.
be in work that feels like a job. It's two very different things, which is why we like to say you're too talented just to take another job. We're not designed to exist in life just to pay our bills and pay our mortgages and clock in and clock out. That's not what life is about. Life is about like expressing all of who you are wherever you can be and wherever you are. And so the best work of your life, the definition we use for the best work of your life is where your unique designs, your unique conditions for success, and your unique experiences are aligned in an expression of a chosen purpose. And we say chosen purpose is because purpose changes. And this whole idea of, I don't know my purpose, I don't know my purpose, like the conversation around purpose is exhausting and it feels unattainable because it feels like I have to know this one thing I'm supposed to do for the rest of my life. That's not what purpose is. Purpose changes as you change. So right now I can say I'm in the best work of my life because I'm taking some of my experience of what I experienced at work and I'm being in service to help other people not experience what I experienced. That is a chosen purpose. And so we talk about chosen purpose as this idea of thinking about what you would done for yourself, what you would want for yourself, and taking the initiative to do it for another. And that you can be doing that all day, every day, no matter where you are. And work is everything that everything is really work. Like I believe that work is really at the center of our lives. Like having a conversation with this is work, right? We're in our work right now.
But doesn't it feel fun?
But it's so much fun. Or like, yeah, being inside of a company in a full-time role, that's also work. Being a caretaker is work, right? Being a good friend is work. Raising mindful, healthy, conscious children is work. And so we have to also expand our definition of work, what work is, and then think about your time as this collection of energy. And to say, where am I in expression? I only have 100% to express. So for me, there were some times in my life where I was 100% in expression of one place. I was giving it everything I had. Today, I'm more diversified in my expressions, right? So I'm building a company, I'm writing a Substack, I'm, trying to set up my daughter for success as she starts to enter in the work world. That all takes my time and my energy and my expression, which I would consider that work. Work is not just about your paycheck.
I actually had a thought as you were talking, which is, to me, there's an interesting benchmark, which is, can I see myself doing this for the rest of my life, for all 4,000 weeks? And when I think about even doing the show, the answer is unequivocally yes. I can see myself doing this until the very last week of my life. And I've even said in my book, I will do this. I will not stop until I drop dead. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, like, this is what I was put on this earth to do. And it feels great to think about something with no end date. I chose my purpose, but the end date is not necessarily of my choosing, because if it were, I'm just going to keep going. And I would tell you, Tony Watley, who I met on Clubhouse, he was on my show. And he said something so interesting. It's a little interesting tweak, which I think you're going to love, Maya. He said, it's not like you have to love what you do in terms of your work. But if you don't, you're competing with someone who does. And he said, and there's no contest. And I got goosebumps now.
Yeah.
Just this, what a brilliant statement, which is you almost have no choice but to love what you do. It's a survival. It's survival and thrival at stake. Like, what are you doing? You are cutting yourself off at the knees if you don't truly love what you do.
Yeah. I mean, that's brilliant. And it's also what we deserve, like we in our last session we had with like our study group folks, we were asking the question around what were you taught about work? Because I think it's so interesting. This thing that we spend the majority of our adult lives doing is not something that we really got taught how to do, right? The language around it was get a good job, keep your head down, like make money, do your thing, like don't rock the boat. You know, I remember talking to my own parents about when I wanted to leave some of my jobs, and they're like, don't leave a job till you have a job, right? Like all of these ideas. And again, it's coming from this nonlinear linear construct, which is for them, that was great work. Great work in our parents' and grandparents' generation was finding a place to dwell, finding a place that's going to welcome you, that's going to protect you, and that you're going to be able to retire from. That was success. That's not success for us today anymore. So, you know, I would implore folks that we spend so much time giving, and we talk, you know, this is where we talk about work as a relationship. If you actually saw work as a relationship, I think a lot of us would start to look at work and say, is this an unhealthy relationship where I'm giving and not receiving in return?
That's
And
interesting, and it can be that by definition, it can end up being a narcissistic relationship. It can be an abusive relationship,
relationship.
and on the flip side, this idea, even in my soliloquy, this idea of cheating on your work. Well, that's kind of what we do, right? We go out to get the other job, you know, so that we have that safety net. We don't even give sometimes the employer the opportunity to you know, to be able to say, we had no idea why I didn't. So it works both ways as well, you know.
Totally. So yeah, that idea that like if you saw work as a relationship and you saw it as any other relationship, you would say, I have needs too. I have things that are important to me. And we spend if you think about how much time we spend teaching people how to think about interpersonal relationships or romantic relationships, like how many therapists there are talking about, you know, helping you navigate a relationship and make sure that you and your partner are both heard and safe. If you think about like a parent-child relationship and how much time we think about conscious parenting and all of these things, the workplace is the one place where we just kind of accept whatever you get is what you get, you know? And I think people now are saying that's not okay for me. Well, you're on mute, Joseph. I don't know how you've been on mute on your own show. How is that happening?
Because I told you, and it's never happened twice before. So you know, there's a first for everything. No, I was thinking to myself that why are there no work psychologists or work therapists? I mean, there's like mediators and whatever, but why are we not going to a therapist to help us find this chosen purpose?
100%. I mean, it's a great question. And I'm sure there are people who do this and they do it well. My hope is that we help shine a light on them and help their work rise to the top. One of the things that I think we also have to reckon with is how conditioned we've been by work. I even now as an entrepreneur, I get to call the shots. We get to decide whatever we want to do. And I still have moments around like, can I do this? Wait, do I need to get this approved by somebody? Wait, am I going to get in trouble for this? And I am free, right? I'm making my own decisions. And so there's a lot of conditioning that's happened that we have to be really gentle with ourselves and give ourselves grace. There's also truly a lot of trauma that has happened. And I don't say that lightly. Workplace trauma is real. You know, we've heard stories around, you know, women who were sexually harassed by their boss and didn't feel like they could report it and then had to keep showing up to your abuser. We've heard stories around humiliation, around bullying. I know for myself, there has been many things that have happened to me over my career. Some things I spoke up about, some things sometimes I didn't, out of fear of retaliation and all of that. And so, you know, one of the things that we're hoping to do with Manual, this company that we're birthing, that is designed to help you discover, define, and express your best work, is for people to start to even consider what they would want and what they need, because even that is a revolution in of itself. A lot of people have never even taken the time to ask themselves these questions, right? Like, what does success in your career actually mean to you? You know, what does it mean to what energizes you at work, right? Like what makes you come alive? What sucks the energy out of your day? And to start to build the habits and the tracking and the consciousness around it so that I can say to my leader, I can say to my coworkers, hey, you know what? Before we start on this project, I just need you to know this kind of work really pulls me down when things are like this. And I would really appreciate if you all be mindful of that. Like imagine if we started communicating like that at work, what could happen?
Well, I was just going to say, I was looking,
Yeah.
and Denise has been on the show as well. I just saw that you're busy reading her book at the moment.
Oh, yes.
But I love these questions. And I was thinking, you know, well, why don't we know this about the people we work with? And then suddenly I was thinking, well, you know, the words that popped into my head was just ask, but we didn't ask. We didn't ask.
We're not taught to ask. So when you think about we think about manuals like your professional DNA. Like what are all the components that make up who you are in the context of your work and how you work? And when you think about how we exist online today, we love LinkedIn. We're literally streaming on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is really about it's about what you've done and where you've been. It's a very static, flat articulation of who you are. And then when you look at the other social platforms, that's more about your personal life or whatever. So we use things like assessments like Myers-Briggs and Enneagram and sometimes horoscopes, which we have here. You can put all that there. But again, that's still really limited. And there's a whole other conversation around the validity of assessments. But what we really want for people to do is there's so much more to your work life, right? It's how I show up. It's my routines in the morning. It's how I like to craft my environment to get together. And so we really want to be a place and a platform that you're able to articulate all of that. And really, Joseph, the hypothesis is what would happen faster? Could we teach all leaders and workplace, HR and CEOs to be more mindful leaders? Or what if everybody just came with a manual in the future? What would happen faster? And so the hypothesis is in the future of work, there's so much changing about so many things in work. Our relationship to work is changing. We're seen as a relationship. How we're working is changing, meaning like a lot of people are deciding to be entrepreneurial or deciding to be full-time contractors or deciding to have multiple gigs, whatever that is. And then where we work is also changing. We're not in person. Some people are in Portugal. Some people are in, on the dock of a bay. It's like we used to say, working and doing their thing. And so while there's some things that we lose from the way we've been working, the thing we lose most is the context that we would get on each other. So there's some things that I would understand about you by working with you in person, by witnessing how you show up in a meeting, by seeing your facial expression at that team offsite, right? But we've gained too much as individuals. I don't have to deal with microaggressions anymore. I get to sleep in. I get to eat healthy meals every day and cook at home. I get to spend more time with my children. Like I'm not willing to give up what we're gaining. But I also, we do need to be conscious that we are losing context on people. So we will have to figure out a way to figure out how do we get context on people quickly so we can accelerate understanding, but then also be conscious that we're literally designed to be different. I'm not supposed to work like you. I'm different. I have a completely different deep professional DNA than you do. And it needs to be, we need to honor everybody's uniqueness and everybody's individualism and find common ground. And so that's what we're hoping manual can be. We're hoping that in the future, everybody will just come with a manual. Isn't that a good pitch?
You know what? I'm like, no. I actually came up with a tagline for you.
What's the tagline?
Life doesn't come with a manual, but work does.
Oh my God, that's so good.
I was just like writing that down, which is but work can or work might.
Okay, well,
That is it. You know, that's
may not use that again, because it is something that's difficult to talk about. We literally ask people all the time, how would you describe this? How would you explain this? Because this is a new way of existing on the internet in the future, which is like, this is my manual. It's yours. It grows with you. You get to answer as many questions as you want. You can, the answers to your questions will change. You can track your history of all of that, you know?
I love everything about this, and I want to ask a question that's actually a little bit more serious, because first of all, this manual, this professional DNA, this tells me that you know, this person. Imagine I'm the carbon neutral, human neutral, you know, 65-year-old pale male and stale, and now in comes a black woman, a vibrant black woman, and I don't know what to say. I don't know how to act. I don't know what, you know, you know, it's unlearning, it's learning. I don't want to say the wrong thing. I want to lean in, but you know, I don't have the skills. I don't have the, now suddenly I feel like if I didn't know you, I think I know you. I think I know you a little bit better, just even from going through that website. And by the way, it looks like you and I are very similar. We're snooze, we're coffee, you know, we're versus tea. But I see that happening as well, which is, this is a way of crossing this chasm that is, I don't know. I think it's widening, or am I wrong in the workplace?
It's 100% widening. Because we're losing the skill set. One, I don't think we were ever great at it, but we've become even worse at seeking to understand each other. So if you think about how we exist online, you're kind of rewarded for super hot takes. You're kind of rewarded for binary thinking, which is like, you're either this or you're that. You're either for us or you're against us, right? And it's like, life is so nuanced and so gray and so it's so messy, right?
Yeah.
And so I think the gap is widening, to your point. And you're right that a little bit of information a little bit of context goes a long way. So
It's true.
So for instance, we did a little bit of an experiment when we first were coming up with this idea, is we had people who had worked together for a long time fill out manuals, and then have them look at each other's manuals to see, was there anything new that they learned? In that experiment, some of these people had worked together for 3 to 5 years, and there was information that they had no idea about on the manual. They had no idea that this is what this person's preference was. They had no idea that this is how this person wanted to set up their day. So even in the context of existing relationships, and in the context of people who have closeness, there's still a lot we don't know, because you're right, we don't know what to ask. We don't always know what to say. And we're really focused on ourselves, to be honest. We're really focused on ourselves, what we need to be doing. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But when you're in person getting to know somebody, on average, it takes 18 months to 2 years to get proper context, to have a collaborative, healthy working relationship. Well, what happens when everybody's moving jobs every 2 years? Like, how are we actually supposed to keep up with that? So we need new tools that, again, accelerate context, accelerate understanding, and are a catalyst for conversation. Imagine in my first one-on-one with you, I bring my manual and I say, can I see yours? And to say, oh, wow, like, I didn't realize that you preferred this. Can you tell me more about how you understood this about yourself? What does that mean in terms of how we want to work together? You know, so especially for people leaders who have people leadership is one of the hardest jobs. It's also one that people aren't trained for properly at all. And it's also one of the most consequential, because my experience with you as a boss, you're one of the most important people in my life, right? So just by time, by definition, and most people will say that their boss is the most stressful person in their life. So for people leaders in particular, you have to understand that you are responsible for the emotional, spiritual, financial, and professional well-being of the people who work for you. For 70, you are stewarding 70% of their life. So this is a super easy tool where if you were to say, hey, I want to be able to better support you, understand you. I also want you to be able to understand me and navigate me. Let's exchange manuals. It doesn't require any integration with the work. Anybody can sign up for a manual at manual.me. It's free to do. And it doesn't require that you be plugged into your organization. It's like LinkedIn in that way, where we all look at everybody's LinkedIns. And it's a super easy thing to do that goes a really, really long way for people, because it's a signal that you care. It's a signal that you want to understand people. And more so than anything else, people just want to know that they matter. They want to know that I matter.
No, I'm just joking. That time I was just joking. I told you they're like a surprise.
I was like, he's on mute again.
No.
You know,
I'm never gonna do. If I do it 3 times in a row, I'm done. You know, you're the new host of Joseph Jaffe is Not Famous. I will be spending my afternoon going to manual. .me. I think it's brilliant. And by the way, I was going to say, you know, where else can I say in a talk show, hey, Maya, if you show me yours, I'll show you mine. That's okay, right? But I also got the other, like, hashtag just ask. Just ask. Like, why didn't you ask? Why didn't you tell me? Well, why didn't you ask? You never asked. You didn't tell me. Yeah. This idea of trading manuals, it's awesome. It makes so much sense. Yeah. I want to, you know, we're at the hour, but I want to share something with you because I feel like it's deeply personal to me. I mean, it's something that I'm sharing with the world. But this book that I've just written, Forever Changed, it's a COVID memoir and it's self-help. But you and I are so aligned in terms of this idea of work as this central place, this life force. You know, they say Einstein died with a pen in his hand. I even go so far as to say in the book, which is, you know, I should have spent more time in the office, said no one ever. And I'm like, that's crap. Like, we should want to spend more time in the office if it was meaningful time.
If you love it. Yeah.
And so this is actually a little promo video that I've put together, and I want to play it for you, and I want to see what you think about it, and then we will wrap up. So if all goes well, here is the promo video.
You when the world stood still. We were all in different places, living different lives. Some of us ghosting through life, alive but dead inside. Some stuck in the purgatory of Groundhog Day, rinse and repeat, endless commutes, cube farms, living lives of others, based on expectations and standards not of our choosing. And then we weren't. And then we were all together, all equal, all on the same page, at the same moment in time. All of us stuck at home. Many of us stuck in general. Where were you when the world stood still? I'll tell you where I was. I'll tell you my story and then I'll listen to yours. Did you change during this time? Did this time change you? If you were miserable in your job, why would you return to it? Did you return to it? Did you seize this moment, this opportunity to become forever changed? If you didn't, it's not too late. Good news, you don't need to wait for the next global pandemic, death, divorce, laid off, or the rise of the machines to change, to be the change. What if there was a way? There is. You don't need to be pushed to change. At best, a gentle nudge is enough, and this book is just that. The best time to plant an oak tree was 20 years ago. The second best time was March 2020. It was for me. The third best time is right now. This is your time. Visit foreverchange.life to get a life. Yours. Find out about priceless experiences from buying bulk copies or buy a royalty splitter where you can share in 10% of the book's royalties. Get unstuck. Return to growth. Become forever changed.
So that was, and the cover is a video designed by Alisa Bet the Iranian-born NFT designer whom I met on Clubhouse
On Clubhouse.
as well. So I wanted you to see that, and I wanted to share that with you because I think we're singing from the same songbook.
We're definitely on the same page. I mean, that's the feeling. Like, I think what you captured is the feeling that so many people feel right now, which is they know they're not the same. Like, you can't be. You can't be the same after what happened to us, what we've all experienced collectively. And while there was deep suffering and a tremendous a lot of loss during that time, when it comes to work, the trends that we saw, the trends that have been happening with work, they've been happening for years. It's COVID in 2020 was a year where it just all exploded. It was like enough. The system broke. And so I think for many people, they know they're different. They know that there's more for themselves, and they know they don't want to keep existing the way that they've been existing. And for some of us, we've been able to navigate that faster than others. And I think for us who have, it's really indicative and important in our responsibility to help others navigate this time. So I really believe and honor and respect the work that you're doing and your perspective on it. And I'm so happy to see you in full expression. Like, how wonderful. How wonderful. Like, what a joy, what a privilege. It's lovely.
Hey, I want to talk to the people out there. I want to tell you, you're too talented to just take another job. Life doesn't come with a manual, but work does. So go and set up your manual.me and express yourself and express your professional DNA. Have a healthy work relationship and follow Maya on X. Follow her on Instagram. And you will definitely not only be able to link, the beauty of even a LinkedIn URL like this these days is people can just use computer vision with their iPhones and just capture the URL. But just type Maya Watson. There's only one Maya Watson, like there's only one Maya Angelou. Please go and subscribe to her Substack. Join the Best Work of Your Life study group. It's starting soon, and find out more about Manual and Maya at app.manual.me/@Maya. And Maya, it has been an absolute pleasure. Kindred spirits. Let me tell you, someone who is going to be setting up their manual.me profile probably today. It's without question Chuck Norris.
You are Chuck Norris approved.
And we will be back soon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching the show about hope, positivity, optimism, and if there's time left over, a little bit of marketing with your host, multiple author, and global keynote speaker, Joseph Jaffe. If you like the show, tell a friend or two. Please subscribe to the show. And if you want to get inside news, previews of upcoming guests, and much more, visit josephjaffe.com/subscribe to sign up for the show's newsletter.
And despite the best ministrations of your wife, you still look ugly.